22M21F, my girlfriend didn't offer to pay her share. Hi, we went out to a trip without friends and I was the one reserving the accommodation. Everyone paid their part, but my girlfriend of 2 months didn't. Asked my friends if they usually cover it for their GF or pay it separately, and they said the latter. So I would like to get that money, but it would be strange to ask, especially before/after giving Valentine's Day presents. Should I ask her despite it? To clarify things, it was organized back in November, we weren't even dating. We were put in a group together by a friend. Everything was discussed in the group, she had every info. The group agreed on the accommodation, on the price of it. Multiple people volunteered to reserve and pay for it, it became me eventually. Would she even consider not to pay if it was one of other friends' money or car? Obviously not. We also split up drink and food, she paid into that. Also, what if we break up not much after? I would be pretty mad having spent that much money. I mean, how did you bring it up to her? Is it possible she just thought since you booked the accommodation you were doing it as a gift to her or something? I think you should ask, maybe be like, hey, I'm just wondering why you didn't offer to pay for the trip. Also, for the future reference, stuff like this should always be discussed before you book things, because maybe she wouldn't have wanted to come if she had to pay, or she couldn't afford it or something. What did you discuss before the trip? Does she have reason to believe you pay? It seems like you planned on covering it all until you found out your friends didn't do the same. If I was your GF, that would definitely upset me. Did you two have any conversation prior about her paying a certain amount for her share? Exactly this. You need to discuss these things before, so expectations are clear. Discuss money prior to the event and be in agreement. At this point, I would forget about it. I'm tired of sharing my Amazon with family. I've been paying for an Amazon Prime account for maybe 5 to 6 years now, since I was an undergraduate in college. At one point a couple years ago, my grandma asked if she could use my account to order some stuff, and the rest is history. I know this sounds petty, but I don't like sharing my account. My grandparents being on it makes it harder for me to buy the things I want/need, think condoms or things they thinks I don't need. My grandparents snoop through my history and wishlist, and no one else doesn't contribute to the yearly cost. I've tried kicking them out of my account before, but my family shames me into giving them my password and such. How do I go about reclaiming my Amazon account? Is it worth trying since it is my grandma and grandpa? Tell them you decided to cancel it because it was costing too much and open a new account with a new email. Tell them the membership expired and you won't be renewing it. Then change the password. You can do one of a few things. Tell them you're canceling the Prime membership and kick them off. For a short time, to make it believable, you may need to cancel it for a couple days. Change the password, and don't give it out. If they ask for the password, then tell them to make their own account, since you no longer have Prime. So they don't need to access your account, since it has no added benefit. If they say they don't want their own account, then they can send you the link for the thing they want, as well as their payment information to add to the account. Make a new account. You can tell them you're canceling Prime, but they can still use that account. If you do this, make sure that you take away your payment information. Then, you make a new account with Prime, if you want. And don't tell anyone about this account. I hope that bulleted list made sense. Privacy is a lovely thing, and I hope you can keep some. Tell them you're canceling it and then open a new one. Change your password and learn that no is a complete sentence. I know it's very hard to say no, especially when we've been taught that no is rude, but they're not entitled to something they're not paying, and not wanting to share is perfectly valid, especially if they haven't even tried to respect your boundaries. They should be ashamed of being Snoopy freeloaders tbh. My 22/F boyfriend, 26/M, admitted that he wanted more affection from me but he was too nervous to initiate or ask for it so he wouldn't come off as too needy. He's not a virgin but I'm his first relationship, been together about 3 months and he's been a complete gentleman who always makes me feel like a princess. Thanks to COVID restrictions we spend the bulk of our time together at his place or mine, ordering in and watching Netflix. I find that I tend to initiate all kinds of physical affection more, from hand-holding, kissing, cuddling and sex. It's probably 75 to 25. I was okay with this, I figured we just had different love languages. The other day we were watching Netflix on his couch. I was sitting next to him holding his hand. I decided to just clamber onto him and sit sideways on his lap with my head resting on his chest and his arms wrapped around me. He mumbled how happy he was in that moment. I answered teasingly he could be that happy anytime he wanted if he just asked for it more. He kind of went a bit stiff and quiet for a moment when I heard that. I asked him what was wrong. He didn't respond. I paused the TV and pressed him on it. He broke down and said the truth was he couldn't get enough of me but he didn't want to come off as too needy and risk my breaking up with him. I was pretty astounded and didn't really know what to say. I told him he could show me affection anytime he wanted to and it would be the last reason I'd ever want to break up with him, and then asked him why he felt that way. He sounded really sad but said that he sometimes felt that being in a relationship with someone like me felt too good to be true after being alone for so long. He sometimes had intrusive thoughts that our relationship was an elaborate joke and that he'd wake up one day and it would be over. He didn't want to risk doing anything that could even have a chance of possibly driving me away. I got a bit tearful hearing this and just held him really tight and told him he'd have to try a lot harder if he wanted to do that, drive me away. It didn't come up again but I really want to do something about this. I want him to understand that I feel as lucky as he does and he has no reason to be insecure. I feel like words alone won't do it. What can I do to show it to him? Or tell, if anyone thinks that actually works? If I don't it'll feel like an unequal power balance in our relationship which will mean we'll never be able to take it to the next level. Tell him what makes you vulnerable too. Show affection, have fun and communicate often. You guys sound like a cute couple. I hope it works out for you both. Thank you. This is a really good idea. It'll be a good way to correct the scale so that he doesn't feel even less out of balance. I hope it works out for you both. He is honestly just perfect and makes me feel like a princess. The other night we had a few drinks and were falling asleep with him spooning me. He just kept kissing my neck and telling me he loved me again and again until he fell asleep. I was so giddy I couldn't fall asleep. I wish he was that uninhibited all the time. You've been together 3 months. You're just getting to know each other, so this isn't all that surprising. Now that you both recognize the problem, you can start working on it. There are some very good exercises and approaches for building communication/trust with couples. Look it up on the internet. Make a project of learning about it together. Get a good book and read it and discuss it together. If that's more than you want to do, just keep talking with each other. Hopefully, you'll keep communicating for the next 3 years, or 30. Sounds like you two are a good match. Relax and enjoy. Funnily enough, I had a similar situation when I was first dating my now fiancé. The biggest thing is communication. Remind him that it's okay to talk to you about how he's feeling. Be vulnerable to him. If he feels that you trust him, then he might be able to relax / a bit more. / not the phrasing I want, but it was the only word coming to mind. Another thing that may help is to establish verbal and or non-verbal signals. For example, with my fiancé, if I tap him firmly a few times, pretty much anywhere, he knows to stop / slow down whatever he's doing. Maybe a non-verbal cue would be helpful to your boyfriend when he feels like he wants more, but is scared to ask for it. It might be a nice idea to take the love languages quiz and confirm what each of your love languages are. That might open up a great conversation about your relationship needs. Haha, your boyfriend is exactly like me. We overthink everything due to our anxiety, and the fact that we were alone for so long drives you insane. As someone who can relate to him, please reassure him often and do small gestures like bringing him food or just sending a message out of the blue to let him know you're thinking of him.